Hey everybody, good Saturday evening. It's Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Thanks for tuning into the live stream tonight. So we're now basically on the doorstep of this winter storm heading our way. A couple of things to remember as we go into tomorrow, especially for the Piedmont and the Charlotte area. Really need to heavily focus on the ice risk. We still have a lot of people obsessed with the snow, and that's not really going to be the main player for us. It's going to be an ice threat. Now, could we see some snowflakes initially? Certainly a possibility in many locations. I think it may start off as snow and then change to sleet or freezing rain fairly quickly. So let's get right to the details here. I am going to share my screen here and we'll show you real quickly where we have the current winter storm warnings and watches and advisories. So far, no watches because everything's been upgraded to either a winter storm warning or an ice storm warning. So you could see all areas either under a winter storm warning or an ice storm warning right now. And where is the precipitation? Well, we can kind of show you that real quickly here. You see the moisture starting to stream in from the west, really big shield of moisture. In fact, all of this is moving slowly northeast, and the leading edge right in here, I'm looking at some of the what we call NPing reports. Basically, it's a crowdsourcing app you can download for your phone and report what you're seeing in real time. And we're seeing a lot of snow and ice pellets, which ice pellets is another meteorological term for sleet. That's basically what it is. So the wider view shows, man, there's a lot of moisture with this system. The one thing that this system will not be lacking is moisture. There's a lot of it coming in at the same time. We've got cold air coming down the eastern facing slopes of the mountains, and that's setting the stage for our ice setup. Real quickly, some of the temperatures out there, I'm going to zoom in on these. You can see the temperatures. I'm going to pause this. Are cooling off pretty quickly. We've got temperatures generally in the 30s, still around 40 in Charlotte, but there's colder air advecting or being transported in from the north and east, and that classic cold air wedge. Cold air damming, or the CAD, is when we have high pressure to the northeast that supplies low-level cold air that gets banked up against the mountain. So this is almost a classic cold air damming event. It's a little bit of a hybrid setup, but that moisture comes in from the south, and that air is warmer. So up around 5, even down to 4,000 feet, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 feet, there's something we call warm nose. It's a layer of warm air that melts the snow that's falling and changes it to rain. Now, if there's enough time between that and the ground, it can refreeze to sleet, but if there's not, it still falls as rain and then freezes after it hits the ground, the tree, the power line, the road, whatever, and that's what we call freezing rain. So that area in pink, that is where we're primarily looking at the freezing rain and sleet mix. Sure, there could be some snow in there, and even in the mountains, even though it's primarily snow, there could be a little bit of sleet that mixes in there at time. The concern for all of us should be, this basically this ice setup, because we're looking at a quarter to a half an inch of ice. You see that potential there. That's a lot of ice. You get a quarter inch, you're going to get trees and power lines that come down. And that pretty much encompasses the whole Charlotte metro area. As you go north and east, there's still going to be some ice in the foothills, maybe a glaze to a tenth of an inch. It's not going to be all snow, probably 80% snow, 20% sleet or freezing rain. The Piedmont might be more 75% freezing rain, 25% sleet, or maybe a little bit of snow. And speaking of the snow, it's going to be varied quite a bit. You go from south to north. So to the south, a trace to an inch. The closer you get north, you get to 1 to 2. Then you start getting 2 to 4. And again, a lot of folks split hairs. If you're on the line, okay, this is 1 to 2. So you're basically in the 1 inch range. Up here, you're in the 2 inch range. You're here, you're 2, 3, 4. So that's the way you kind of got to read that. So it's basically a spread. Could be anywhere in there. So don't get too specific about the exact line. That's a general idea on where we see that setup. So tomorrow, this is for the Charlotte area. One thing to notice, the temperature is well below freezing. In fact, we're below freezing for most of the day, maybe briefly jumping up there in the evening. But by then, we actually could see some colder air aloft come in, which could change things to snow. So we could go from freezing rain to snow at the end of this. But also notice the winds. The winds here are a really kind of underplayed part of this, because those winds are going to be a big player in just how much wind damage in the form of ice and wind together, causing trees and power lines to come down. It's one thing to get ice on everything, but if you add in winds like this, especially gusting possibly to 30, 35, even 45 miles per hour. That could help bring down more branches and power lines. So let's go hour by hour here. I'll go really slow here to kind of show you that northeast wind bringing in the colder air. Before I go to that real quickly, I wanted to just show you this because I think this is something, the least that I keep an eye on meteorologically. You see the dew points. So why are the dew points important? Well, the drier the air is, the colder it can get when moisture is introduced into it. It's called evaporative cooling. So for instance, if you've got a 15-degree dew point like we have in Raleigh, and the air temperature is 40, if it starts raining, for every degree that the dew point comes up, the evaporation causes the air temperature to come down, roughly. So the dew point can come up to 16, the air temperature comes down to 39. Dew point goes up to 17, air temperature comes down to 38. That's the kind of thing that happens in evaporative cooling. The dew point comes up and you start lowering the temperature until they meet up. And this dry air has been moving in. In fact, the dew points have plummeted to the teens and even single digits in the northeastern part of the state. So as that moves in, that's going to establish this setup for the temperatures falling. And watch the temperatures over time. As the precipitation moves in, the temperature actually falls to the freezing marker below. And then we go through the morning, and you see by 7 a.m., everybody's below freezing. So this is falling either a snow, sleet, or freezing rain. There's no rainfall falling. Remember, freezing rain by definition, is it raining and is it below 32 degrees? It is liquid rain. I think people see liquid rain and go, hey, it's raining. Got to look at the temperature. If the temperature is 32.0 or lower, that's not rain. That's freezing rain. That's how you distinguish the two. People often confuse freezing rain with sleet. Sleet are tiny ice pellets. You hear them, you see them. That's not freezing rain. I guess you could say it's frozen rain because that's what it is. Freezing rain is rainfall that falls as rain and then freezes after it's already hit the ground. So that's what causes ice. And that ice really starts to pile up through the middle of the day because temperatures stay below freezing. Now you see the rainfall here trying to sneak in here, but notice the temperatures. Is it going to be 34 or 33? Is it 32.1 or 32.0? That's too close of a call. And as you go through time, let's back that up for a second. I mean, Charlotte briefly, maybe. It could stay freezing rain the entire time. It's not like it jumps up to like 40. Stays pretty cold there. And then you see the snow coming in. So the backside, this is the upper level system, which has cold air not only above us, but in the mid levels. It wipes out that warm layer. That warm layer shifts up here, and the cold air fills in. So any precipitation left over and lift, it's going to be snow. So there will be snow showers Sunday evening into Sunday night, and possibly lingering all the way into Monday. So for the mountains, the totals could really be fluffed up there because on Monday morning into the afternoon, look, there's going to be additional snowfall there that could last well into Monday afternoon. So that will help the totals in the mountains easily reach my 6 to 12 inch total. It might actually surpass that in some locations. So I think there's a real good possibility that's going to happen. So some words of caution about ice accumulations. Remember, quarter of an inch or less, avoid unnecessary travel, like ice on trees, scattered power outages. Quarter of an inch to half an inch, you're looking at some significant broken limbs and power outages. I think that's the minimum we get. The question is, do we go to that dreaded half inch, which is when we tend to see widespread tree damage and long-term outages? That is a huge concern. I've been showing the winter weather impact graphic quite a bit because I think it's really useful. This combines snow load, cold, wind, freezing rain, all into an impact graphic. And so what you're seeing here, let me back this up, is, and someone had a really good question about this before, is that you see kind of this area in yellow. Well, the area in yellow might be low because it might just be snow and sleet and not be as much of an issue, where the heavy snow causes issues up here. For Charlotte, it's ice. And the reason you see it centered, notice how the population centers, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, GSP down here, Greenville-Spartanburg, and then Charlotte. Why are they red? Because there's more things to be impacted: people, roads, power lines, trees. So the ice has a much more significant impact here in the Charlotte area. So again, the timing has not changed much at all. I'm going to stick with this timing for the Charlotte area, kind of that mid-morning. I think when most people wake up, you're going to be in the midst of this. And then as we go into the evening, things should start to get a little bit better. As far as the mountains and foothills, we'll play that out real quick. Still looking at a lot of snow cover and ice cover. So moral of the story here is that we're starting to see, probably more of an ice storm issue for all of us. So I would definitely recommend, if you're in the Charlotte area, that you're fully prepared to be hunkered down all day Sunday. And by Sunday night into Monday morning, probably not doing too much. But by midday on Monday, I do expect temperatures will be above freezing. And here's the thing. Sometimes in ice storm situations, the roads aren't as bad as you might think, because rain has a tough time sticking to road surfaces that have brine on them or a salt, especially if they're not bridges and overpasses. Now, the bridges and overpasses, watch out for those. Those could be really slick. But the roads that have soil under them, ground-based roads, don't have the cold air wrapped around them, tend to stay a little bit warmer. And I think the DOT, CDOT have done an incredible job putting down brine and salt. You've seen it. It's everywhere. It's like a dust cloud. That can keeps ice from forming on the roads. And even in some of our biggest ice storms, a lot of people want to treat this like the 2002 ice storm. It is nothing like that. So just put that out of your mind. That was a unique situation meteorologically, tree canopy wise. We still had leaves on the trees. That was just epic. That was over an inch and a quarter of ice. So that was a much different animal. But in that one, even though it was a huge ice storm, the roads were fine. They were just wet. All the ice was up in the trees and the power lines. The reason you couldn't travel anywhere, so many trees came down and blocked the roads. It was worse than Hurricane Hugo in this area. In fact, that 2002 ice storm, everybody here remembers Hugo. And for rightful and wrong reasons, it was a horrible event. But that 2002 ice storm actually knocked out more power and caused more tree damage than Hugo in the state of North Carolina. It is the record still for the biggest outage in Duke's power system for the longest period of time. Some folks were without power for 2 weeks. And if you were here in 2002, you know what I'm talking about. That was a rough couple of weeks there, people hanging out with other people. So it was a tough setup. So that's kind of the setup tonight. We're kind of just waiting and watching. Let me go back to the screen share real quickly. And I want to show you just where the radar is and kind of where we stand right now before I leave you tonight. We'll go back to the radar real quickly and kind of show you. There it is. So the timing of this, it looks like it's moving northeast at about, 30 miles an hour. Let me quickly see what the speed is on this. I'm going to add 35. So we'll go 35 miles an hour on this track. I'm going to do a rough track if this is moving at that speed. So yeah, that kind of looks like the timing, maybe a little faster than that. But roughly the leading edge of the heavier stuff starts moving in. Columbia, maybe midnight, Rock Hill around 1 a.m., Charlotte around 1:42. So I was saying about 2 a.m. things get cranked up. Concord 2:16. So that kind of fits the timeline of everything right now. So the heavy stuff moves in, and what we expect is this will move through the area. So let me go back to our surface map here, because I haven't looked at the surface map in a while. I want to show you kind of the overall view of this thing. Oh, it is way behind. I'm going to rebuild this. But you kind of get the idea as this thing moves through and rotates out, and then that northwest wind builds in. So it gives you a real good idea of the overall view of that. So it's going to be in and out Sunday. We'll have Monday to kind of recover, and then I'm already getting questions about next weekend. Here's the thing. The pattern is cold. It looks like it's going to stay cold for a while. And because of that, any storm that comes around in the next 7 to 10 days is going to be something worth watching. And of course, I will be watching, and I will start posting updates on the next system once this thing is out of here. But let's get this thing out of here first. So that's it for now. We're going to wrap up the live stream tonight. Stay tuned to my Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Even got some TikTok updates out there. Right there in the bottom, you see that WX Brad. If you're not following me on Twitter, I think that's probably the best place to follow me, because the Twitter feed is going to be constant updates. It's not filtered. It's a great resource. Even if you don't post anything on Twitter, I tell you, Twitter's a great place to be. Facebook, probably second best, but you see about 10% of my posts unless you go to my page. Our app, WCNC.com, the WCNC Charlotte app, and our YouTube channel is where I post a lot of my vlogs. So if you haven't subscribed yet to the Weather IQ page, our YouTube page, great resource. Lots of weather information, weather schools in there, a lot of explainers. It really is the catch-all for all the weather and science geek stuff that we do here in the First Warn Storm team. So I'm going to wrap it up for now. Hope you have a great night, everybody. Stay safe out there. If you are going to be up later tonight, we will be on at 11 o'clock on WCNC Charlotte. Good night, guys.